Jai Baba. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am not this. I am not that. I am nothing but a living lie of that truth. That is me. And unless the lie is dead, the truth cannot be. Meher Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Thank you, beloved Baba, for bringing us all together once again in His love, in His remembrance. And as per the orders given by the headquarters from Dubai, we are reading Meher Baba Calling, Meher Baba Calling, and we are on page 25.
Desire not. Unless you give up the breath of your desires and die to yourself, you cannot have the breath of real life and live forever. You can own a world without attachment so far as you do not allow yourself to be owned by any part of it through attachment. Renunciation of desires does not mean asceticism or a negative attitude of life. Without avoiding contact with the different aspects of life, maintain complete detachment in the midst of intense activity. Desire for nothing except desirelessness. Hope for nothing except to rise above all hopes. Want nothing and you will have everything.
I think some mics are yet open. I think some mic is open. Can the host please mute all the mics? Thank you. All right. We all know that Baba has been consistently harping on desirelessness. He has been consistently telling that desires are the links that keep us bound to the circle of life and death. Why desires are considered as a link? Because desires cause, or they are the source of impression or samskaras. Desire is nothing but a energy, a kind of a craving to do something or to have something or not to have something, whatever it may be. So it's the desire is in its energy form, and that gets imprinted on our mental body as a samskara or an impression. And as we all know, that samskaras or impressions do not annihilate themselves all by themselves. They have to be countered by opposite samskaras, or they have to be expressed and experienced. So in other words, more the desires, more the round of births and deaths. Another aspect of desire, Baba says, is, and I've said this on this forum, is about worry. When Baba says that worry is a product of feverish imagination working under the stimulus of desires. In other words, the stimulus, the fuel for worry is desires. Less fuel, less fire, that means less desires, less worry, and proportionately, conversely, more desires, more worries. So here Baba says, unless you give up the breath of your desires and die to yourself. Very many times, Baba talks about real death is living for God. There was one I remember in our center. We had a photo frame which read, "Where you are, God is not. Where God is, you are not." So many people get very confused. How can that be that where I am, God is not? So what Baba was hinting at, or what Baba meant, was that wherever the false self exists, God realization is not possible. God's presence is not possible. Presence in the sense, real presence in all its totality. So Baba says, unless you give up the breath of your desires and die to yourself. So that is the meaning of die to yourself, meaning dying the real death, dying the death of the false self, separative self, egocentric self, self which thinks that I am separated and other from the truth or from God. So that self has to die. You cannot have the breath of real life and live forever. We are all destined to live forever. But the only way we can live forever is if we have what is known as the real or the true death. Another beautiful one from Baba says, that no one dies. No one knows to die. The real hero who really dies is never born again. These may not be Baba's exact words, but what Baba is trying to say is that the real death is the death of the separative, egocentric I, the false self. When that dies, then automatically, spontaneously, immediately, you live in and as God. And when we live in and as God, Baba says that is perennial, that is perpetual, that is eternal without a break. So I'll repeat the first few lines. Unless you give up the breath of your desires and die to yourself, you cannot have the breath of real life and live forever. The second paragraph says, you can own a whole you can own a world without attachment so far as you do not allow yourself to be owned by any part of it through attachment. The main key to this game of life, according to my limited understanding, is be involved with everything. Discharge all your duties and responsibilities. Have fun, but do not be attached to anything, with the firm understanding that all this is ephemeral, all this is transient, all this is temporary. Today it is there, tomorrow it is not there. If you do it with a sense of detachment, then you live in the moment, you enjoy in the moment, and you are neither worried about the past or future or concerned or anything. You just live very impactfully at this point in time, what Baba calls the eternal now. I'm reminded of an instance where a big businessman used to make huge money had asked Baba that is it unspiritual, is it wrong to make money and be rich? And a similar answer was given by Baba, the same thing, that it is perfectly okay even if you own the whole world, as long as you do not allow yourself to be owned by any part thereof through attachment. In other words, you can have everything. You can have houses, you can have cars, you can have horses, you can have everything, but do not be attached to it. Let these things do not own you. That means, in other words, if those things are lost, you should not feel lost. You should not feel that, oh, now what do I do? My house has gone, my this has gone, and all that. Renunciation of desires does not mean asceticism or a negative attitude of life. In other words, Baba is not asking us not to enjoy life or to have a negative attitude towards life with the fear that anything that I'll do will attract samskaras or impressions or anything. That, in other words, Baba does not expect us to be like, like going through all kinds of austerities and stuff like that. He was a very practical master with a lot of wit and humor. He loved fun and frolic. He loved how to poke fun at somebody else, to jokes and dance and fun and everything. He enjoyed it. But at the end of it, what Baba says is that renunciation of desires does not mean asceticism of or a negative attitude towards life or of life without avoiding contact with the different aspects of life, maintain complete detachment in the midst of intense activity. So herein lies the chavi, the key, the nuska as we call it, of how one should conduct oneself in life, to hone in all your capabilities, abilities, aptitudes, whatever you know, whatever you are good at, put it all in Baba's work, in Baba's service. But at the same time, do not be attached to it. Feel absolutely detached. Do not be attached to the results. Do not be affected by the results. This can be very well exemplified through one incident episode which Baba himself narrates, that there was once a perfect master in Delhi, and his name was Nizamuddin Aulia. And he was sitting with a group of his disciples, and one of the disciples asked, "Your master, how should we live in this life? How should we conduct ourselves in this life?" And just then, a few ladies, women folk, they were carrying pitchers of water, one on top of the other. And they were just passing by. They were cracking jokes. They were giggling. They were poking fun at each other. How we do that, tillang tallang, all that. They were doing all this. So the master simply pointed at the ladies and said, that you should live like them. You should live like them. Of course, the disciples did not understand what does that master mean, that we are supposed to carry pitchers of water, on our head and walk. Then Baba explains, that although apparently on the face of it, outwardly, they are cracking jokes, they are running, they are making fun of each other, they appear to be so much involved in whatever they are doing, that is carrying the picture. But at the back of your mind, the inner core, the crux, was constantly having attention on the water and on the pitcher, so that the water should not fall out or the pitcher should not fall off their head. In other words, while doing something which is very commonplace, something which is very mundane, something which is just normal day to day functioning, their attention was all the time focused on the picture, on the vessel there and in the water there, that should not fall out. So, in the same way, Baba expects us to be absolutely involved in whatever that you are doing, whether you are in business, whether you are working, whether you are giving some social service, whatever. Be focused, be involved, but at the same time, your inner connection, your inner contact, your inner focus, your connectivity, your companionship should be with Baba all the time. Whatever you may be doing externally, but your connection should be with Baba all the time. Desire for nothing except desirelessness. Baba says that desires, basically, what are desires? I said in the initial stage that desires are nothing but energy of wanting. I want this, I desire this. And the moment you desire something deeply, it imprints very deeply an impression or a samskara in your mental body. And as I said, impressions don't go away like that. They have to be experienced and expressed. And in order to experience and express, that becomes a connecting link, a connectivity to your next life. In other words, desires perpetuate illusory life. Desires perpetuate illusory life. If you have less desires, your perpetuation or continuation of your illusory life comes to a halt relatively faster than you have multiple desires. So desire for nothing except desirelessness. Hope for nothing except to rise above all hopes. Again, here somebody had asked me, how can it be that we live without hopes? And so my limited understanding of what Same thing goes for desire, something goes for hope, same thing goes for expectations. So somebody had asked, how can you be living a life without any expectation? So I, in my own limited understanding, as I say, I said that my understanding is that you can divide expectation into two categories. One is expectation that triggers us to do something well, to do something perfect. You may not be perfect, but excellence, let's put it that way. To supposing now, if I have no desire for gaining a good percentage in my exams, then obviously I will not be studying well. So there is one aspect of the desire which encourages us, which goads us, which impels us to do something good, either for ourselves or for somebody. So that aspect, in my understanding, is perfectly okay. And the other aspect of hope or expectation is that when they are not met with, when you do not meet with what you are expecting or what you are hoping, we feel absolutely let down. We are very sorrowful. We draw a long face. We are saddened and stuff like that. So that aspect of expectation, one should take charge of or take control. In other words, my understanding says that yes, do whatever needs to be done as if you are a spiritual being. That's what Baba says. Do as if you are doing it for God. Do as if that is the most important thing in life. Do as if your life your life depends on it. Do with such a gusto, such a impactful manner. But yeah, involvement. But is most important. But be detached with the results. So that is that fine tuning where you have expectation, where you have hope, but yet you are detached. And the last one, want nothing and you will have everything. Because when you really do not want anything, that means when you want nothing, when you really want nothing, then that will lead you to the real nothing, the real nothingness, as we call it, the fana state. And when you get that, then obviously you get everything. So this is my interpretation of this particular, whatever you call it, chapter or page. If there are any questions to ask, please feel free. Otherwise, we'll go on to the next. Anybody's hand has gone up? Anybody wants to
No,
ask?
sir, there is no question.
No questions. So you can continue reading.
I think somebody wants to ask. Yeah.
Nirima.
Hi, hello.
Jai Baba dear, bolo.
Jai Baba. So I met you 1.5 years back, 2 years back when I was in Bombay, and you gave me the book Discourses. And ever since then, I've been on.
I'm sure I must not take a charge from you. Huh? I don't give it to everybody. Okay, go ahead.
I'm glad to. I am glad that I paid for it also, and I got it and I read it. So I haven't completely finished the book yet, and I also started reading God Speaks. I've read the chapter on evolution and involution. The question that I have is, when you spoke about impressions and sanskaras and desirelessness, you said that it's not very easy to expiate your impressions. Can you maybe briefly talk about that a little bit more?
Well, the thing is, it's like you have planted a seed, and the seed is going to sprout and give you the fruit. So in other words, unless and until you experience the fruit, the impression that the seed has been sown, will not be nullified. In other words, it is nothing but a reflection of the law of cause and effect. So the law of cause and effect works in the normal world. So in the same way, when reflected in spirituality, when reflected into moral order or spiritual order, it is termed as the law of karma, the karmic law or the law of karma. In other words, as you sow, so shall you reap. So in other words, we need to be conscious of the sowing season rather than of the harvesting season, because the harvest will always be as you have sown. You cannot expect sowing a seed of Karela and getting the fruit of Apus curry. You see, because it cannot be. So in other words, whatever we are doing, like I am talking, you are listening, everything that we do, the good, the bad, the ugly, creates impression. Simple, period. The only way out, as Baba says, or one of the most important or prominent way out, as Baba says in the discourses, is that we have to make our ego subservient to that of the master. Which means what? I'm sure since you have read discourses, you must have remembered this. Subservient to that of the master means it is not I who is doing this, whatever you may be doing. It is Baba who is getting it done through me, or he is doing through me. So when that happens, and honestly that happens, sincerely that happens, then by and large we do not attract further fresh samskaras or impressions. Am I making sense? See,
Yeah, absolutely.
I am digressing. Sorry, yeah, I am digressing. But since you have asked a very important question, again, this is my understanding. I don't know why the postman has not put that placard that that the views expressed on this are those of the speaker. Anyway, so my understanding is that there is a formula for samskarik binding or bondage. What is the formula? On one side, there is that something is being done. And walking, talking, speaking, cheating, whatever it is, you are doing some action, some activity. Plus, doership. Doership means karta bhav or kartritva abhiman. Or I
Can't
am
hear
the
you
doer.
properly. I think somebody's not on
Somebody's
mute.
mic. Pia, your mic is on, dear. Thank you.
Thank you.
I still feel that there's one mic on, is it? Anyway, so in other words, action plus I am the doer means I have done it in the past, I am doing it now, or I am going to do it in the future is equal to karma bandhan. Got it? Now it could be a good karma. I may be doing certain things good, but because I think I am doing it, I'll be bound with good karmas, which means chain of gold. Let's put it that way. Whereas if I do something not good, when I say not good, I would consider in my interpretation as something which is selfish, something which is self-centered, something which is not oriented for the benefit and good of the other. I would consider that as not good, you know. So if I do something not good, again I am bound. Now let me finish the now I cannot stop my actions. Even if I decide I'm going to sleep through the day, I'm not going to do anything, that itself is an action because I have decided to take that step. So you cannot stop actions, right? But you can, that's what Baba explained, you can remove the doership, the karta, from the formula. And when you break the formula that way, then is equal to no karma bandhan, zero karma bandhan. So on one side, there is some action happening. Something is happening. On another side, I genuinely, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. They say, I have to be very genuine, honest, and sincere into believing and feeling that it is Baba who is doing it through me. Then and then only this formula works. So on one side, whatever battery that I have charged by way of past karma is getting expended, exhausted, utilized, spent. Right? On one side, I am spending the energy, I am spending my karma. On the other side, I am not accumulating fresh karma. So automatically, over a period of time, all my gross samskaras gets rarified, gets loosened, gets weakened. And that is how you progress into the first plane of consciousness, when your focus of consciousness or a flashlight of consciousness is not focused on the gross now, because your prepondering samskaras are no more gross, but they have turned subtle. And so you get entry into the first plane of the first plane of consciousness. Am I making some sense?
No, no, absolutely. I get all of it completely. The only question that I'm left with is that when you say that now that you are basically not the doer is Baba. So basically, Baba is pure consciousness, right?
Yes,
So then this pure consciousness wouldn't have any karma at all,
not at all.
right? Yeah,
That is
but
exactly the reason.
yeah, but you are still talking about the past karma.
Okay.
Because we already have that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
The past karmas have only one job to do, to come to a balance. And that is why they goad us to wake up every day in the morning. Get up, spend me, utilize me, use me up. So that means, although I am doing some action in the present,
With
it is
Baba.
always based on my past. And because it is based on my past samskaras are being utilized. And that is what Baba has very beautifully said in another way, that the alarm is already chavi laga diya hai, wound. The alarm is wound. At the appointed time, it will ring. So allow it to ring, but
It
take care
will
not
ring.
to wind it again. So winding it again is that doing some action with the thought that I am the doer.
If that is done with Baba as the doer, then
Yes.
that much you are lighter.
Right. Absolutely.
So you
Correct.
you have to get lighter. So that is it.
Got it?
Yes,
Thank you for
thank
the
you.
question, because it's a very profound question. It's a very beautiful question, and which we all. So the bottom line is what? Let's put it with all this big bhashan. Bottom line is what? To keep Baba as our constant companion wholeheartedly. And when we do that, then automatically we graduate into a space where we feel that it is Baba who is doing it and not me. Because many times you may do certain things and then, oh my God, have I done this? How beautiful. I wonder how could I have done that? Something like that. So it is Baba who is doing through me. That's what Baba says. Before starting any work, think it is Baba who is doing through you. After finishing any work, offer everything to Baba and be absolutely detached with it. So Baba is giving us like a DIY, do it yourself kit. You get that DIY, IKEA and all that. You make yourself something. So in the same way, Baba is making it so easy for us. He has given us step by step as to how we can conduct ourselves in this life, so that by and large we have become lighter and lighter and not heavier and heavier with involving
Karmas.
inviting more and more karmas. Okay.
Got
All right.
it.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Welcome, dear.
Anaita has a question, Cyrus.
Who?
And I
Anaita.
Yes, Anaita.
Cyrus, Jai Baba.
Jai
I just
Jai
want
Baba.
to ask, when you said about expectation, now the very basic expectations from your loved ones, when they are not met. So sometimes you just just keep quiet, don't say anything. But inside you're getting a little negative about it. It's not like wholeheartedly you can't have any expectations. And, I have not reached that stage yet. So is there any trick or is there anything that you can suggest?
Let me get the question first properly.
expectations is
Yeah.
not, but you
I am
expect from your
sure
loved ones,
when you are
don't show.
expecting, when you expect something from your loved ones, supposing you expect a certain discipline from your children, I am sure you must teach them. Baba was a very practical master, but you must do all that you can do in order to improve them, in order to give them good memories, good samskaras. But I personally feel at the end of the day, your effort is only one very significant, one very significant contributory factor to their life. But ultimately, whatever samskaras they have brought in their theli when they came here, when they took their marching orders from the other side and came here, they have come with a heap, with a mountain of samskaras, you see. So ultimately, at that point in time, people will exhibit those traits, even though you may have taught them or coached them most lovingly. It will definitely have some impact, but how much will all depend upon what was your coaching and what is the force of their samskaras. I give this example to people because I do a little bit of counseling and all that. And somebody says, oh, mera beta itna badmash nikla, हमारे घर में ऐसा कोई भी नहीं है, we are all so nice people, and how come this has happened and all that. So the example that I give them was, okay, take an example of somebody who has, you know, given birth to twins. And we all know twins would mean what? That the same mother, correct? And hopefully the same father, correct? And they were born in the same hospital, the same doctor, the same nurse. When they went to school, the same class, the same friendship, the same environment, everything is the same. But after a certain age, maybe 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, when the, you know, DNA, RNA, we call it in spirituality samskaras. When the samskaras sprout up, then one becomes Ram and the other becomes Shyam. Yeah. Now, what is the logic behind that? When everything has been the same, the genetic factor is the same, the coaching is the same, the environment is the same, that means that the prabhav, the effect of the samskaras are very, very prominent, very, very dominating. So yes, you must on your part do whatever best you can do in terms of coaching, in terms of training, but at the end of it, know that if it doesn't happen, you should not feel affected. This gentleman who came to me, he was beating himself up, you know, and he was so sad that my son has become like this. And I said, you are not responsible for the behavior of your son or your whatever the children, as long as you have taken care to lovingly coach them to the best of your ability. See, there is always a time where this much and no more. You can't do anything more than that, isn't it? So you will lovingly coach, you will keep on coaching, but if the samskaras are quite different, then they will be what they have to be. There's nothing you can do about it. And at that time, you need to accept that and not beat yourself up and not, like belittle yourself.
Yes.
And say, what have I done? There must be something wrong with me. I must not have taught properly, blah, blah, blah. That should not be the case.
Spot on, spot on. Thank you very much.
Welcome, dear. Anybody else? Right. So now I want to please Rakesh Gupta with that story. Okay, I'm sure I must have said it here, but since he requested, and as with all the stories, please bear with me with a little, if it's a little tikka, little mirchi masala and all that. All right. Now the story goes something like this, that we all know that during Baba's time, the Deccan Plateau where Baba was stationed at Arangaon, which we call Mehrabad, it was a drought affected area. It was a dry area. That's why it's called Arangaon, in fact, like a jungle, jungle. Why? Okay. So now, Baba and the Mandli, they were struggling with water. They had very little water. And there was always a complaint from the men Mandli that the women are wasting a lot of water with gardening and all that, flowers and all that, whereas men are not getting sufficient to even take a proper bath and stuff like that. And there was a lot of, during those times, if we really see, Baba had a manager, it could be Rustam Irani, it could be Kaka Baria. At that time, it was Rustam Irani. And the men would be given just a small cake of soap. And in that, they are supposed to take bath and wash clothes and everything. And they would be given a blade for shaving, of course. So after the blade has got blunt, they are supposed to return it to the manager, whosoever that is, in the same wrapping paper and give it to him. And the manager will gasofy it on a stone. We used to get that kind of something like a pumic stone or whatever. He would do that, sharpening, and again wrap it in the wrapper and give it. So what I'm trying to say is that they lived such an austere life. And Pani was the main concern. And Baba would tell, okay, now what should we do? Let us dig a well over here. So they would dig some well over there, but there is no Pani. Then they would call some diviner. The best that I remember, that they had called the diviner. Diviner is a person who comes with some machine, and then he will tell you where, if you dig over here, there is a river, underground river flowing, so you can get water over here. So the diviner was called and he had selected a spot, and then he had put some stone over there that this is the spot where if you dig, you will find water. But then somebody ignorantly, innocently removed that stone and kept it somewhere else. So now even that they have lost the track of where they were supposed to dig water. In short, when the Mandli themselves were facing problem with water and they were not striking water, even though they had dug several wells. One day, Baba was sitting, in his darbar, as we say, you know, a group of people, a group of villagers, they just came by and they did namaskar to Baba and said, Baba, we are facing a lot of problem with water. Our crops have failed, the monsoon have failed, the crops have failed, and if we do not find water in the well, we will have to leave the village, or so many people will die. So now what should we do? So then Baba is asking that, have you dug the dug the well? They said, yes, we have dug X number of feet. I don't know, whatever it may be, maybe 20 feet, for example. Oh, we have gone 20 feet, but it is absolutely dry. There is no
With
water.
spoon and with the tissue.
Sorry? Thank you, dear. Absolute. So Baba just blurts out and says like this, go 5 feet more. So he just said it, go 5 feet more. And since Baba has said it, the villagers were very joyous and they went happily saying that now we will get water because Baba has said it. Now here starts Baba's, I'm using a very little crude word, Baba's drama, Baba's acting. Arey yaar, main aaj kya kar diya? What have I done? I have made a very great blunder, he said. The Mandli says, what is it? I have told the farmers, just go 5 feet and you will strike water. But we all know that there is no water in this entire region. So now what will happen? They will not strike water and they will all come in a lot with all the danda and bamboos and all that to drive us away, saying that this Baba is a fraud, and he would go on and on and on. And for those who know Baba, if he sticks to one sort of dialogue, he will keep on repeating to a point where the other person gets so irritated that they may flare up. And this has happened to so many people, especially those in the Mandli Padri and Rustam, and they would just flare up and say, enough is enough, that kind of thing. And Baba would go on and on and on. What made me do that thing? And I should not have done it. I should have had some common sense. We knew that there is no water here and going. And now this is my 2 bits I am adding, that even in the night, he says, I cannot get sleep. What will I do when these people will come saying that after going 5 feet, if they come, what will I do? We have to be prepared to run away from here because people will, they will not allow us to stay here. There's a fraud, Baba. And then the person who was a night watch, now as I said, this is from me, he would pacify Baba and say, Baba, don't worry. If you don't get sleep, just keep on saying, Baba, Baba, Baba. So this is just a joke. Anyway, so this went on for quite some time. So after about 2 days or 3 days, again Baba was sitting and they see a kind of a sand, like when group of people are coming, you find a lot of sand in the atmosphere. And Baba is seeing that, oh my God, these people are now coming and now we have to be prepared. Now what should I do? What should we do? And all that. And as they are coming closer, they are able to hear the drum beats, that people are drumming and people are dancing and all that. And of course, then they came very close by. They did pranam to Baba and they offered Baba some mithai and garlanded Baba and said, Baba, you said 5 feet, but we only went 3 or 3.5 feet and gushing water came. The moment they said this, Baba is looking at all the Mandli and says, see, I told you, they will find water. See, I told. And all this Mandli were tongue-tied. He said, right up to now, Baba was lamenting, where is the water? There is no water. What will happen? And now Baba is turning table and saying, see, I told you, they will find water. See, and that way. Now everything is over. They pray to Baba. Then they just go away. after they go away, Baba is looking at the mandli and saying, I shapat. I shapat means I swear, I have not done anything for them. It's not my miracle. I have not done anything for them. It is their faith that has brought water to them. Now, all the mandli, if you know at that time, they were robust people. I would not hesitate to say like a wild-like people, lot of strength, lot of individuality, not that Haji Baba, yes sir, lollipoppy people, not that. They were very, very strong, strong bodied and strong mentality. So Rustam Irani, Adi Kaka's elder brother, he was the manager at that time and he was the holder of all the keys, the bunch of keys that he was holding. He got so frustrated when Baba said that it is their faith that has brought water. He just throws the bunch of keys at Baba's feet and said, अच्छा तो वो लोग को faith है, हमको faith नहीं, हम इधर जखमारी करते हैं. Means they have got faith, do not have faith in you. We have left our homes, we have left everything, and we have come to you, and you are praising them, and you are saying that they have faith in you, and we do not have faith in you. So what is the point in staying with you? Take your keys, I am going. Something like that. And Baba looks at him, and calls him near, and then this is Baba's Kaan chimatne ka, and then Baba explains. He says, listen carefully. He says, superb. Baba says, their faith in me was linked through water. The water was the medium for that faith, and therefore they got water. Your faith in me is for me, is for myself, and therefore you will get me, and not whether the water comes or not, whether you are not bothered about anything. You will stick to me, you will hold on to my daman, whether all your wishes are fulfilled or not fulfilled, whether everything is, Baba uses the word satyanashi, is destroyed in your life, still you will hold on to me, and therefore you will get me and not water. And then Baba says, now take pick up the chavi and get back to work. So this was a very a learning lesson for all of us, that our faith in Baba should be for Baba. No matter what, we should hold on to Baba's daman. As Baba says, till the very end. Till the very end, my interpretation would be till we merge in oneness with him. So that was the story. Which, Rakesh, are you happy now? Oh, okay, Jai Baba. All right. Any more questions to be asked?
No hands have been raised.
No hands. Lovely. So now we will study this.
Want what I want. Always do what I want instead of wanting me to want what you want. Most of you want me to want what you want, and when you succeed in getting me to agree to what you want, you are delighted and even tell others that that is what I want.
Better? Okay, go ahead.
I know it is not easy to want what I want. In fact, it is impossible for you to want what I want, for it is impossible for you to love me as I should be loved. But at least do not always be wanting me to want what you want, and try your utmost to put your heart and soul into doing whatever I want you to do. Only intense love for me can bring you to obey me as I want you to.
All right. I am reminded of one episode from this particular. Sorry. Excuse me. From this Want What I Want. there was a Baba couple, family, and they had a son of marriageable age. I'm sorry, the other way around, I think it was a daughter of marriageable age, and they had already selected, identified what we call shortlisted a prospective groom. And so they went to Baba and said that this is what we are planning to do and that we want your blessings. So Baba made a face, which was to indicate that I don't think this is a good match, something like that. So when Baba made that face, the couple immediately made out that Baba doesn't seem to be happy. And perhaps the couple thought that Baba doesn't seem to be knowing the groom and the groom's family well. Now he is all knowing, but then they thought like that. And so they went on to say, no, Baba, you see, the thing is that they come from a very elite family. They are very good. The parents are very good. They have got a good name in the society. They are this, they are that, they are wealthy. Everybody looks up to them and all that. And this has been Baba's practice. And Baba has said this, that whatever I tell you first, that is my order. Now then if you try to change Baba's viewpoint or whatever, then he will go where you take him, where Baba. And not only go, but he will encourage you as if that is what he wants you to do. That's what Baba is saying here also. So when the parents started saying, no, Baba, the thing is that he's very, then immediately Baba's facial expression changed. Oh, is that so? Oh, I never knew that, So, oh, is that so? Oh, it's like this, it's like this. Baba kept on nodding, and saying, oh, very good, very nice, very good, very good. And then sort of he allowed, Now the marriage took place. The parents were very happy that Baba has said yes, and everything went off okay initially. Then after a few years, this is Baba's gesture, It's a ting, ting, ting. Means jagra hone ko chalu ho gaya. Things did not run well. And so what to do? So ultimately, they again went to Baba and the parents. And the parents said, this is what has happened. This is what is very, with all seriousness, Baba heard. And they used the word, but Baba, you approved. The moment the word approved was uttered, Baba snaps and says, no, I allowed. See, there is a world of difference between Baba's approval and Baba allowing. In my understanding, and perhaps in my life, there may be so many things which Baba may not approve, but he allowed. Chalne do. You see? So it's a very profound learning lesson for us, that many and Baba immediately turns and says, okay, now this is what you want, so okay. And he encourages, is that so? Okay, then do this, do that. And it gives us an impression that Baba is actually, that is Baba's wish. I know of very many cases where especially with the teenagers, when they are in love with each other, and then they would go and they would go to Baba. Baba means the frame, and they would put that kapli, yes and no, what is that called, whatever you call it, and then they would do like this, and they will put it to Baba, and then pull out one. And now supposing the man wants to marry the girl, the boy wants to marry, and if it is a no, I think I've told this to you, immediately you change. Baba's wish was no, but now you are changing it to no, it was only one time, so I'll do 3 times. Out of 3 times, do kya aata hai wo dekhenge. So the second time again, they would do, and now again the no has come. So no, don't get married. So now our brain, see how our mind functions, no, I'll do one thing. Out of 5, 3 times. So that way, ultimately, unless that yes comes, till that time you keep doing, and then you will say Baba ne allow kiya or Baba ne approve kiya hai. So one needs to be very, very honest. That is where Baba talks about honesty. It's not just about paise ka dhanda and all that. Honesty is this, that one needs to be absolutely honest with Baba. And I also narrated one and I would love to do that because I see a few new faces. There was one college going boy. He used to bunk his college every day and go for a movie matinee show, you know, every day, virtually why every day. And the friends would say, yeah, every day आप जाते हो. He would say, क्या मैं क्या करूं? भगवान की इच्छा है. It's God's wish. It is God's will that I should go to the movie every day. So yeah, how do you know it is God's will? He said, very simple. I toss a coin and then see head, I go, tail, I don't go. Simple as that. Then the friends ask, you mean to say you get head every time? No, sometimes I have to flick it several times to get the head. In other words, मार कूट के बोलते हैं ना, भगवान को हम मनाते हैं नहीं. That means if it's tail, you say no, no, no. So when the head comes after 5 times, one time, देखो भगवान की इच्छा थी ना, तो मैं जाता हूँ करके. That should not be the case. That should not be honesty. We have to be honest in ourselves and with Baba. So here the reading goes, and I think you got the meaning behind this reading. I don't think it requires any in-depth explanation. Always do what I want instead of wanting me to want what you want. ये केस में ऐसा ही हो गया. We are asking Baba to want what we want. Most of you want me to want what you want. And when you succeed in getting me to agree to what you want, you are delighted and even tell others that that is what I want. So you are making Baba agreeing to your side of the story, and now you are doing a propaganda to everybody that this is what Baba wants. I know it is not easy to want what I want. In fact, it is impossible for you to want what I want. For it is impossible for you to love me as I should be loved. Baba wants only love. And by love, he means that love which makes us really pine, really, like crave for that longing to become one with him. But that love, Baba says, cannot be created. You cannot have it all by yourself. You may have chota mota love for your friends, love for your parents, for your children, for your dog, for your mother-in-law, everything. But such a love that Baba calls divine love is a gift from God to man. And this gift is rarely given, not because there is any shortage of that gift, but because we will not be able to contain that gift. Baba sees whether our container, our patra, is strong enough to take that gift, to withstand that gift. Because when that gift comes from God, from Baba, then Baba uses the word, you become like a fish flopping out of water. Tarapna. It is something which at least I don't understand, and which I'm sure we don't understand, because that gift has to come from him. So Baba says, it is impossible for you to love me as I should be loved. But at least do not always be wanting me to want what you want. In other words, do not extract things from Baba. I think there is a Kabir ka doha, words to the effect that at different places it is mentioned differently, but it says like, bin mage, if you, without asking, if God gives you, it's like amrut, it's like nectar. If you ask and he gives you, it's like water. If you ask and he does not give you, and you keep on asking, and he's compelled to give you, you force him to give you, then he will give. But then that is like blood. That is like poison. So never ever demand or never ever pester Baba asking for something. You can ask, like we say, ye hai hamari arzi, aage tumhari marzi. You can always tell him that this is what I think, but at the end of the day, it is you who should choose whether that particular thing would be good for me. Good for me, not in the physical sense, but in my soul's reckoning from the standpoint of the truth or reality, whether it will be good. I personally feel nothing wrong if you ask. Of course, the highest would be not to ask at all, because in the message called the highest of the high, Baba himself says that if I am the highest of the high, what is the point of you asking me? Because when I'm the highest of the high, I know what to give, whom to give, when to give, how much to give. I know everything. So you don't need to ask. And if I am not the highest of the high, if I'm just an ordinary person, then what is the point of asking me? Because I can't help you. I'm just an ordinary human being. So in both the cases, Baba has been in that particular message emphasizing on not asking anything. That's one thing. But then there are so many people, there are Mandli who would say, if we don't ask Baba, whom do we ask? There is a point. And then there is a third way of doing it where we say, ye hai hamari arji, aage tumhari marji. That means we are making an urji, we are making an appeal, we are asking, but we are not expecting whatever. If it comes, fine. If it doesn't come, fine, because Baba knows what is best for us, and therefore he has not given us. There is another, I've said this again, another way out. And I'm reminded of an episode where Don Stevens, considered as Baba's Western Mandli, he was the one responsible for editing God Speaks and Discourses, the 6th edition, not the 7th one. And he has authored many books. He was very close to Baba. He to come to Baba and meet him at Merazad. In one incident, at one point in time, when Don went to Baba, Baba did not seem to be particularly happy with Don. For whatever reason, Don could not understand, Don could not judge. So Don Stevens, asks, we all say, what do we say? Through Mary to Jesus. That means if anything has to go to Jesus, you ask Mary. And if Mary asks Jesus would never deny. In the same way with the women Mandli, they used to ask request through Mera. So they would tell Mera ki jara Baba ko batao na aisa, please tell Baba. And when Mera says, by and large, Baba would not refuse. There are times when Baba has said, no, this will be good for them. For example, the example is that of Dhan Satta, who was paraplegic, isn't it? And she was, all the limbs were not functioning, and Mera and the women Mandli would tell Baba to relieve her from this disease. And Baba would say, no, this is good for her, that when she is suffering in my presence, she loves me, my nazar is on her. So much of her past karmas are being eradicated, and then she will come to me. So that very rare cases where Baba would not oblige listening to the women Mandli, and especially Mera. So here on the man's side, they would generally hint Erach to find out what is in Baba's mind. So Don hinted Erach and said, Baba doesn't seem to be particularly happy with me this time. What is wrong? And then they got to know that Don's mother had died a month before. And it seems, now this is what I heard, that Don had sent the telegram, but when he came, he did not expressly tell Baba about how it happened and how she died and all that. And that is the reason why Baba was unhappy. So Baba said, couldn't you tell me? Couldn't you tell me this is such an important thing that happened in your life? Would you not tell me? And Don wanted to play it down and said, but Baba, you are all knowing. You know everything. What is there for me to tell? It's not something, she was old and ailing and she died. That is when Baba said, no. Now this is important. No, you must tell me everything. Important. You must tell me everything. So Don says, and we've heard it from Don's mouth, that ever since that day, even after Baba dropped his physical body, every single day, at the end of the day, I would stand before Baba, that means his image, his portrait, his photograph, whatever, and I will talk to Baba and I will tell him everything in a nutshell, not in great details, everything that transpired in that particular day. So here, I think we are getting another lesson, another pathway of just informing Baba of what is going on in our life, and not necessarily asking us to obviate that problem. Sometimes people ask the Baba, give me the strength to overcome this. That also is asking in a sense. So that is another way, the fourth way of just keeping Baba in the loop, so to speak, or just keeping Baba informed of what is happening in our life, and then leave it to Baba. If he wants to take action on that, well and good. If he feels okay, fine, I heard you now, then it's fine. But at least we are not held responsible in a sense of not telling Baba, of not informing Baba. Because when Don Stevens did not inform Baba, Baba was upset, and his direct, of course, it was only concerning Don Stevens, I do agree. But then we can also learn from each other's experiences. And what is the harm in spending a minute or two or three at the end of the day and remembering Baba and informing him, Baba, this is what has happened through the day. Simple as that. Not that he doesn't know, he knows, but he wants us to do. I would look at it that way. He wants us to do, and we are doing it, and that would please him. Now I'll just wind up the last paragraph. But at least do not always be wanting me to want what you want, and try your utmost to put your heart and soul into doing what I want you to do. We may be doing it half-heartedly or no-heartedly, but Baba says, if I want you to do a certain thing, put your whole being into that and do it that way. Only intense love for me can bring you to obey me as I want you to. In other words, again, there is a very beautiful mix of love, obedience, and surrender. They are not three separate things. If we have one, it all automatically, it blends beautifully. So if you love me the way I should be loved, then you will be able to obey me, because obedience is a gift from master to man. So if you love him, he will grant us this gift of obedience. And when the gift of obedience is done, you obey Baba wholeheartedly, and that is where we can expect to merge into him, in him. Anybody has anything to ask? We've already 6:02. 6:02. Okay. Anything to ask?
Uh,
Yes, go ahead.
I don't have a question per se, but I really want to talk to you about the first plane of consciousness. Can I
Can
do
we
that
do-
personally?
I understand. Okay, chalo, पूछ लो, because I thought we can do it personally on phone, but never mind. Now, since you are on the first plane and you want to know more about the first plane, you are on the first plane. You said no.
I'm not saying I am on the first plane. I just want to know about it.
Okay, go ahead. Ask.
No, so I just want to I want like a basic description, you know how a person starts living their life on a moment to moment basis. Like people say that people go back to their breath, they start breathing, thinking of God, thinking of divine, that whatever they're doing is divine, doing it through them. The ego death happens at that moment of time once they start practicing it every moment. So, so is that all that is the first plane all about, or what exactly is it?
No.
Like?
We are far away from the first plane. First of all, Baba has never encouraged any kind of meditation with breath. Not that I know of, except for in one Sahwas, Baba has said when you breathe in, you say Ba, when you breathe out, you say Ba. So that becomes Har Dam. Baba, Dam means Har Dam. Ba. Beyond that, I have not come across any literature or any reading where Baba is asking us to do these kinds of yogic exercises or something to do with, breath control or breath management or whatever it is. It has not come to mind. No, I think the way you are asking question, Dinima, isn't it your name is? You, Dinima. I think if you call me personally, because we need to talk along, because This, what you said, has nothing to do with the first plane. You know what I'm trying to say. First plane basically is when you exhaust all your, because in doing this, actually you are uh, accumulating fresh, good samskaras, which are gross in nature. So it will actually inhibit you or prevent you from going to the first plane. You got what I'm saying? Maybe some other time I'll tell a story about Hukumat Rai Kapil. I'm sure I've said this here, but maybe on Wednesday, because that's a story session, I might do that, where a person was very much into all these things, and Baba said, all these things is not going to lead you to God. You know, you are lowering your what should I say, your aim or your goal by practicing all this. You are not going to go there. All right. So then, okay, Jai Baba to all of you once again. Thank you very much, Baba. Thank you, Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai.